Listen, before you get started with your day, I got to tell you something really important, okay? God, you're looking good. You're looking so fucking good. You're looking so...
Perhaps the most common way that people exercise control over us is by presenting us with options, when in fact the options are always as infinite as your ability to imagine other options. Our only limitations, whether it be in terms of relationships or politics, is the limits of physical reality. That's it. The rest is just will and engineering.
Jazz really took off in New Orleans around the turn of the century was simply because there were piles of brass instruments.
Okay, so this immediately reminded me of how the 1977 blackout in New York City is the thing that kickstarted the entire hip-hop revolution. Okay, so this is from a Rolling Stone article called "It Turned the World Upside Down." While most sought food and domestic necessities, some trained their attention on electronics stores, breaking down doors and snatching equipment. For them, the darkness provided an opportunity to finally build their own audio system or reap the profits from secondhand sales. Overnight and under darkness, new DJs started populating the area. Crews formed after mixing and matching newly gained equipment to form a cohesive system. And as with every historical reality, there are a bunch of things that contribute to it, and like the time was just right because the violence of the 70s were terrible in New York City. But like as the 70s were waning, the violence was beginning to die down somewhat. And a lot of the energy in the massive gang movement of the 70s began to be translated into other things like these hip hop parties. And the blackout provided an opportunity for people who had been historically disenfranchised. Hello, black and brown people always being historically disenfranchised. When we get a chance to have access to the tools, we revolutionize. Where there's a great documentary called Rubble Kings, and there's a couple other ones about the 70s and gang stuff, and actually ties into the movie The Warriors. The movie The Warriors is based on some stuff that actually happened. Anyway, thanks to the creator that I stitched for providing yet another example of what happens when you just give people stuff and let them have access to stuff. Because all of the meritocracy stuff that we grow up with in this country, it's really all about access and who has been denied it, intentionally denied. Think about how hip hop has basically taken over the world, right? Every single country, every culture now has their like rap parts or their like active hip hop groups, and the dance and all of the culture that came from this particular time that was indeed spurred by this one moment of people finally getting access to the tools that they needed to create art. And just as an overarching note, people of the overculture just keep not realizing how much they're screwing over their own access to enjoyment and some of the most wonderful stuff that humans can create just by being racist. There's a quote by Stephen Jay Gould that says, "I am somehow less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than the near certainty that people of equal or greater ability died in sweatshops and cotton fields." I think I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's pretty much it. For me, more importantly than just like the cool historical thing, which it very much is the overall idea that if we stop denying people access, we would just have better stuff as a world. You know, you don't understand segregation like you think you do, right? A lot of us hear segregation and we think, oh, okay, well, it means that just, the races were kept separately. The so-called races were kept separate. Well, that's not exactly it, right? Segregation is actually kind of a nice way of putting what was happening. Segregation was Jim Crow. Legislatively, things were different for Black people in the United States than they were for other people. That's not nice. And I hear sometimes even people, even Black folks being like, bring back segregation. And like, I know sometimes it's just like joking or like a little bit of cope, but some people actually mean it. They're like, no, just give us our own and just let us be separate and it'll be fine. And no, that's not how it fucking works. Ask the people, ask the entire town at the bottom of Lake Lanier, what happens when we have our own? Ask the people of Greenwood. Ask the people of Rosewood. What happens when you make laws that segregate people on race and somebody else who is not of your race has control of the places that you build, of the things that you build, right? There's a reason that Black Wall Street was destroyed because it was segregated. Yeah, sure, you can have your own, sure. But if you do too much, if you get more than we think you should have, we're going to take it and kill you and then lie about the history. So it's going to be another 100 years before it's really in the mass mind, right? Why do I bring this up? The Knesset just passed a law that the death penalty is available for certain people and not for other people. My cartoonish silence is on purpose. They're wearing little tiny noose pins. That's fucking horrifying. And you've probably heard me talk before about just how horrifying that the country that is not real is in terms of how grotesquely evil they are towards the people who they have in an open air prison, right? And now they're wearing little noose pins. What does that mean, right? And again, one of the reasons that people, especially even up to and including liberals, push back on the idea that the country that is not real is in fact not real is because if you think about it, that means our country isn't real either. And guess what? It's not. It's not. And I will go a step further. No countries are real, right? Peoples are real. Cultures are real, right? Those things are real, immutable, as old as there are as humans, as old as humankind itself, right? But cultures are not arbitrary lines. They're not determined just by birth either. There was an article that I shared. If you're part of the FoILG, which is you should get into. It is I basically taken a bunch of stuff from the internet and I'm putting it into Signal. So we have a place that is not social media, so that people can kind of opt in to scrolling, and it's not an eternal scroll. It's just stuff that's interesting, funny, gripping, interesting. It's got latest news, but it's also just got the weird shit that pops into my brain, like this show. But on there, I posted something that's a really important reminder about how there is a there was an Asian child that had 4C hair, and there's a person commenting like, what is there, like somebody Black in their family? Like, did somebody lie? And then a person who actually is a scientist about race and about genetics is like, yeah, all that stuff we think about race, it's bullshit. They're just human traits, period. Okay, so yes, it is important for Black people and people of color to gatekeep certain elements of culture, of the things that we do, because we get stolen from all the time. Yes, but it's important to remember that all this shit is fucking fake. Borders are fake. Countries are fake. Race itself is fake. There are just traits. So no, like there are places in Africa where the people have blonde hair because it's just traits. It's just human stuff. And it's stuff that has been, a fine point has been drilled into it so that essentially capitalism and capitalists and the vulture class can make money by fostering division, right? And it's also, of course, why you can't just drill everything down to class reductionism, because race is a really important part of class. Right? Anyway, you don't understand segregation like you think you do, because it is not about, there is no, unfortunately, there is no route to the collective freedom without intersectional solidarity, without actually doing the hard fucking work. And I'm about to tell you exactly how hard it is, but without doing the hard work of linking across cultures, across races, across experiences, because that's what makes a strong party. D&D taught us this. You're not going to do well with a party of all fighters. One fireball, everybody's wiped. Right? You need people from different cultures with different abilities, with different strengths, with different weaknesses. And the same thing is true of the work we need to do now, which is also why your family of origin is not going to be the people you're going to do most of your organizing with. The people on your block are not going to be the people you do your deepest organizing with by nature. That's just not how it works, right? There is a strange, I'm going to say something that maybe a lot of y'all, maybe you won't like. I don't know, but it's true. So let's let it ride. People think that in-person stuff is most important, and it's not. That, my friends, is an example of how our ego, of how our view of like what is right in front of us being the most important thing is fucking up everything, right? We are failing to see how important it is that we can find the people that we don't have to argue with about the basics, people with whom we actually share values that, maybe they're not right on our literal block, but they could be a couple blocks over, a town over, not that far, and we're everywhere. Right? Because there are no red states and blue states. It's all purple, right? It's all purple. And we can find each other now. We are finding each other now. And that's the reason that we're getting further than we have before. And the reason that, of course, they're trying to clamp down on everything so much harder, right? The reason that they're trying to get rid of social media is not because social media isn't good for organizing. And I simply beg y'all to stop playing into their fucking trap that it's not, that we don't need social media, that you just got to go and talk to your neighbors. Yes, you have to talk to your neighbors for some things. Yes, you got to find people local to you to do ice watch and shit like that. Sure. But that's not necessarily going to be your literal next door neighbor. And you need a tool to find those people. And guess what tools there are? The fucking internet, social media, signal groups. They just posted a thing today, basically making everybody in this room and everyone who will watch this criminals further than we already were, right? Anyone who is anti-capitalist, anyone who doesn't believe in traditional values, right, is now even more targeted. That was always coming. We always knew that, right? When I say stuff like we're revolutionaries, you're a revolutionary, I'm not just saying that because I fucking saw, the Fred Hampton movie and I liked it a lot and I decided to just repeat it. It's because it's true. There are two roles available for human beings right now. You are a collaborator with the empire and with fascism and with the destruction of our planet, or you are a revolutionary. And yes, it is that simple. People who are trying to stand aside are collaborators, because whoever has power is going to continue with that power unless you stop them from having that power. Right? I'm going to talk later, a little personal anecdote and sort of a call to action. But now is a time for us to be fucking brave and bold and angrier than we are. We shouldn't be sad, right? I mean, of course, we're going to be sad because shit is bad. Shit is really bad. But we shouldn't. It is important to remember that this is not the simple march of history. These things were done to us. Everything that is happening has names responsible, has people responsible for making it happen. Because without them making it happen, there would be, like permaculture lawns everywhere. And there would be drinkable water. And you wouldn't have to worry about gasoline in the Strait of Hormuz because everybody would just have solar panels and we would have stopped using all that shit already. Because a bunch of oil companies and DuPont wasn't stopping us from actually using renewable sources that are going to be there forever, that you could plug in right the fuck now and would just take you off of the teat of every corporate industry that is destroying our world. Everything that is happening to us right now, there are people responsible. And we should be angry at them. I made a mistake. I posted something on my Instagram that turned out to be an old video. It was not current. And I didn't dirty delete. I deleted it so that it wouldn't spread further. But I also put in the edits, like, my bad. I got excited about this maybe being true and didn't do the due diligence that I should have because I am a human and because I wish, we're all a little bit Christian in this country, even those of us who are witches or who are Jewish, or even those who are Muslims, because America and Christianity, a certain kind of Christianity, are super, super linked, right? And part of that is most relevant. Well, there's a few parts that are super relevant, right? But sort of forgiveness is a thing. And not being too harsh on the people who, we have to turn the other cheek and it's above our pay grade and we shouldn't be angry and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Fuck all that. You are angry. And if you think that you're not, you're lying to yourself. You're covering up rage because this was done to you. We don't have to be living like this. Okay? You can't therapize your way out of being governed by people so manifestly evil that they have everybody full of microplastics. People who have never touched a piece of plastic in their far from the closest place to go and get some plastic. It's coming in out of the rain. It's in the groundwater. Microplastics. Because somebody wanted something to do with the byproducts of the oil that they are yoinking out of the earth. That kind of evil is it's beyond even the fucking Epstein files, which of course is wildly evil, and it's evil in a way that, like, it's evil in a way that we really grip. But to me, I'm gonna challenge you to see that it is actually much more evil to do something like Ford did and buy and then bury a car that was made out of, mostly renewable materials that took out, not only less gas, but could use basically garbage, like could use corn oil. I don't remember exactly. I made a video on this a while ago, but look it up. Ford took a car that is stronger basically than the materials that cars are made out of now, use so much less, don't using the gasoline that we use now, right? Made of renewable materials, and buried it. And this was in like the 50s. Our quality of life could and should be so much better. Why don't we have high-speed rail? Why are we still using fucking chugga choo-choos? We may as well still be in the fucking 1800s when it comes to our trains. That's why we got to use airplanes to get places, which of course take more gasoline and of course use more emissions. It's not just Taylor Swift and her jets, but it's also all of us taking these giant explosion machines, right? Rocketing through the sky on the power of explosions from long dead dinosaurs. It's barbaric. And it was done to us. Be angry. Use that feeling. Because I say this a lot. Rage Against the Machine told us anger is a gift. It is not a sin. It doesn't mean that you are lesser than. It doesn't mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean that you are unable to control yourself. It means that you have been transgressed against, and your body is getting you activated to do something to end that transgression. That is where we are. That is where we should be. That is where we long ago should have been.
right? Because we have been lied to about so many things. And we should be sad, yes. But don't just get stuck in sadness, because that just makes it about your feelings. The good thing about anger, about rage, and about embodiment, which we're going to hear soon in the astrological weather report. But the good thing about Mars is that it's there to make you act. It's not there to make you just feel good. It's there to make you do stuff. It's there to make you do stuff, and the stuff that you do now will make you feel good later, right? Not about what feels good right now, because right now ain't that much that feels good. Because things are indeed quite dire. But we're going to talk more about some things we can do about it, and we're going to talk more later towards the end of the show. But until then, I hope you enjoy what we put together for you. I hope you enjoyed our new segment, LG NYC, where I share some things with you just from my travels throughout NYC. That was just a random group of subway singers from, I think, around 2011 or something like that. I've got, I've been a photographer and a videographer and just, collector of images and videos for a long time. And I just have all this stuff just from my travels that I want to share with you. So let's get into our first segment, of course, the astrological weather report with our very own Alice Pope.
Folks, last week was all about Venus, but this week is all about Mars. The 3 exact transits happening this week are all Mars transits. And remember, it's Aries season. Mars is the planet that rules the sign of Aries, so those Mars-Aries vibes are really going to be turned up to 11 this week. This invites us to engage with Mars concepts, right? To get really embodied and physically grounded, to reflect on our desires, our drive, our will, our motivations, to consider our behavior, to take action to protect what we love and to fight for what we believe in. Mars is the planet of courage, but what that also means is that it's the planet of fear, because fear is what gives meaning to courage and allows it to even exist, right? So that is the question for this week. What are you afraid of? How is that holding you back from taking action and going after what you want? And how can we tap into our bravery, face our fears, and do it scared, do it anyway? Last week was all about relationships with all those Venusian transits, right? So let's remember this Mars-heavy week that we are stronger together, that we can draw courage from and lean on each other. If you're paralyzed by fear, borrow some bravery from a friend, a loved one, a comrade. Hold someone face that scary thing, because the gods know the world is full of them right now. The unavoidable truth is that a huge collective transformation is underway, and now is the time to be brave, to take action, to actively shape the future that we want to live in. And I'm telling myself this too, of course. We weren't born into this era to be passive observers or consumers. We're here to be warriors because that is what the circumstances require. Don't underestimate the power of human will, even in just one individual, let alone a group, a society, or the whole collective of humanity. We have the power to make history now in a good way, but only if we choose to do so. And Mars is the planet that governs those choices. All that said, let's get into the details of this week in the stars. There are no exact transits today, Monday, April 6th, or tomorrow, Tuesday the 7th. But of course, I'll say that doesn't mean that nothing is happening, right? What I'm telling you about are the exact peaks of these transits, but they do occur over longer stretches of time. They build up to that peak and then they fade out. There is always something happening astrologically in the background in those deep undercurrents. There's always the solar season, the current lunar cycle, those slow-moving outer planet transits, right? Not to mention the way that the astrology is hitting your individual birth chart, meaning that something really huge might be happening for you right now, even if it's a quiet day in the news, so to speak. But speaking of the news, there is some collectively on Wednesday, April 8th. First of all, the moon will leave adventurous, philosophic, resilient Sagittarius, where it's been since Sunday, and enter the hardworking, solitary, mature sign of Capricorn here on Wednesday morning. And then we'll have our first Mars transit of the week, with Mars forming a sextile to Uranus from 29 degrees of Pisces to 29 degrees of Taurus. Now, Mars and Uranus have a lot in common. Both of these planets love to be free and independent and do whatever the fuck they want. So this sextile has the power to stimulate liberation, first and foremost. A transit like this can have a very impulsive and unpredictable energy, so it is important to stay grounded and connected to the intuition of Pisces and the instinct of Taurus, helping us out here. And if we look at where these two planets are right now, they're both at the last degree of their respective signs. Uranus is about to enter Gemini in less than 2 weeks now, which is a huge event since it'll be there for about 7 years. And trust and believe this Gemini rising is going to tell you all about that when the time comes, okay? But for now, Uranus is at the tail end of its journey through Taurus, shaking up our values, our physical experience of the world, our relationship to nature and the land, transforming traditions and conventions, rocking our sense of stability and security to the very fucking core, right? Mars, meanwhile, is at the fishtail end of Pisces, the last degree of the whole entire zodiac, carrying the wisdom of that whole long journey. So these two planets right now are ready for transformation. They're both on the precipice of a big shift. And while this sextile is occurring between a water sign and an earth sign, the change we'll see on Wednesday is of an emotional and a material nature. Maybe you're ready to let go of some baggage that's been weighing you down, whether physically or spiritually. When Mars contacts Uranus like this, we get a boost of energy and courage to be our true, authentic selves, to freely think for ourselves, to continue deconditioning and deprogramming from the toxic overculture, to rebel, to invent a new and better way to act on it and to move forward. So on Wednesday, I want you to focus on truly being yourself, as weird as you are or as basic as you might be. Whatever it is, authenticity is the key, and then acting on whatever you discover. Moving on here to Thursday, April 9th, Mars will on this day finally complete its lap around the zodiac and enter the sign of Aries. And this is big for 2 reasons. First of all, as I've said before, going from the last sign of Pisces to the first sign of Aries is like dying and being reborn. It's always a notable event. And secondly, Mars is the planet that rules Aries, so it's now returning to its home sign and joining the Sun, Chiron, Saturn, and Neptune that are already there. So it's kind of like a party has been going on at Mars's house, but the host got delayed in a traffic jam and is late on their way there. But now they're home, they finally arrived at their own rager. They can unlock the liquor cabinets, get the orgy started, and make sure everyone knows where the bathrooms are. What I'm trying to say is that Mars can tap into more of the energy and potential of the sign of Aries to take action, to take risks. This is a powerful time to access our drive to survive and thrive in this wild world, to get a boost of courage and passion, of assertiveness and empowerment, or at least of a fuck it kind of energy that can be helpful if used wisely, of course. Having Mars, the god of war, in Aries, the sign of the warrior, could amplify conflict, whether globally or interpersonally. Not that we need any more of that right now, but that's just how it is. So this Mars-heavy week is an important time for us to consider our relationship to rage. We're all feeling it, or we all should be, unless you're totally numbed out and checked out from what's happening, in which case, what are you doing? Why are you here? And also good luck keeping that up when Mars shifts from Pisces into Aries. There's a good chance that this anger, this constant feeling of crisis and urgency and stress and irritation and frustration is taking a real toll on you and therefore on your relationships. We have to have outlets for our anger so that it doesn't bubble up in unexpected, undesirable places, right? That might be something personally healthy, like moving your body. It might be something socially constructive, like pouring your energy into organizing and activism, or whatever it may be. That energy needs to get vented, because bottling it up will only cause problems now and delay that explosion until later down the road. You might be afraid of your own anger, of yourself, of your own emotions, and not being able to control them when you express them. So this week, particularly, and the next few weeks while Mars is in Aries, is a powerful time to work with that energy and that fear, so that you're not disempowering yourself by cutting yourself off from your internal power source, which of course is what they want. So don't let them do that to you. Then on Friday, April 10th, the moon moves into the authentic, innovative, revolutionary sign of Aquarius. There are no transits of note on Saturday, April 11th, but once again, we are ending this week on a challenging note because late on the evening of Sunday, April 12th, Mars will be conjunct Neptune at about 2.5 degrees of Aries. This will actually be very early in the morning of next Monday for those of y'all on the East Coast. Now, as we've discussed, Mars is this very physical, fiery, driven kind of energy, right? But Neptune is the opposite. It's ethereal, dreamy, misty, boundless, transcendent. So when the two come together, it's a fucking confusing mix. It's like trying to see through a steam cloud. It can obscure your vision and also burn you. Have you ever gotten a steam burn? They're fucking gnarly. So on Sunday, you might feel really unclear on your motivations. You might feel uncomfortable in your body, unsettled, ungrounded, and anxious. So this is a helpful day to focus on ways to center yourself, to work with embodiment, and just to have patience as you and everybody else sits and tries to navigate those challenging feelings and sensations that are coming up. Now, with Mars meeting up with spiritual Neptune, this transit brings the potential for more religiously motivated conflict. Of course, that's already running rampant these days, and unfortunately, it might be even further amplified by this energy. But we also have the choice to use this transit in a better way. As we turn our Mars courage towards Neptune, we can be more motivated by our compassion and empathy for others. We can be driven into action by our dreams and creative visions for future possibilities. As we feel how interconnected we are with all beings on this earth, we can fight for our collective surviving and thriving. And even though religion has tried so hard to ruin spirituality for us, don't forget how much strength and courage you can draw from your spiritual life and practice, from your connection to the cosmos and universal love. So that's it for your weekly astrological weather report. I'm Alice Pope. Logan, back to you.
And to the girl who said, forget what you feel and remember what you deserve.
Give me one margarita and I open my legs. Give me 2 margaritas and I'm going to bed. Give me 3 margaritas and I'm seeing the dead. Give me 4 margaritas. I'm going to tell you what they said. Give me 5 margaritas and I'll recite the old magic to you backwards and forwards. Don't make me do that.
You know what time it is, darlings, don't you? Before we get into that, though, that was a little thing from. So I used to do Fire Sword at performances. In addition to producing my own parties, I used to do various types of entertainment at other people's events. And one of the things was Fire Sword. And I'm sure you've seen like Fire Poi and Fire Hoops and other sorts of things. But really, Fire Sword, it's not that complicated. You just have to try not to die. Because usually when you have like a poi or with like or even the hoops, like the little ball of fire will be like a little ball. But with sword, it's like the whole sword is just, and it's frighteningly hot. And that was, I had just met that person I think a couple days before. They also did Fire Swords. We just, kind of improv'd it. That was 2011. So 15 years ago. Can you fucking believe it? I can't. I cannot. But another tale from the Grendelverse for you. But now, let us get into our weekly delve into my vinyl collection. Some of my favorites, and I hope soon some of yours. We're going to start with Changes One, Bowie. Now, you all know David Bowie. You all know why we love David Bowie so fucking much on this show. You want to talk about somebody who was, gender bending, who was just super authentic, who was weird, who was deep, who was real, who was authentic. All of those things, artistically speaking. But what you may not have known is also he was all about it when it came to, gender and about race, politically speaking. You can look this up yourself, and I hope that you will. There is an interview that he did with someone from MTV, and he, in the most quintessentially British way possible, just eviscerates them about race. He's like, I noticed that there's not a lot of black artists who are shown on MTV. I mean, when they are, they're shown at 2:30 in the morning, between 2:30 and 6 a.m. I know that my accent is from a different place in the UK than he is. Don't worry about it. And the interviewer is like, yeah, we're just, we're trying to, well, it's not just New York. We also got to make sure it plays in Poughkeepsie and in the rural places. And Bowie's just like, isn't that interesting? Which is British for, you fucked up, right? You're dead wrong. You're dead wrong for this. This is one of those artists that, and look, this is another thing that when we talk about artists and just historical figures, I think we should start getting into a new era of things, because while it was important that we started getting into the era where we critiqued a lot of the things that they did, and we always will and we always should, it is also important to kind of add up the works of a life and realize that humans are indeed complicated. And often the notion that people are complicated was used to paper over really seriously fucked up things. But the idea that people are complicated is actually that, like, yeah, somebody that you love and respect is going to have done some things that you disagree with, that you don't really like, you don't care for. But what we have to get better at is knowing where the real villains are versus people who are human and flawed, right? Because Bowie was a hard partying person, and I'm sure did some shit that we would look at and be like, yeah, wow, fucked up, right? But also, let's add up the works of a life. But anyway, the music on this particular album, I mean, we're talking Space Oddity, John, I'm Only Dancing, in which is I have a mix of songs that are like basically about infidelity. And John, I'm Only Dancing is on there because like, baby, you wasn't only dancing. You know he was trying to fuck. And honestly, if Bowie is trying to have sex with your boyfriend, girlfriend, joy friend, they friend, you're gonna have to become non-monogamous for that day. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Changes, Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, Gene Genie, Diamond Dogs, every fucking song on this album, and absolutely a banger. Just a really great artist and someone who deserves a lot of the deserves a lot of the credit that they get for being the person that they were, the artist that they were. And it's in fact surprising that some people who were so forward thinking in their time got to be so, and really a great album, highly recommended. Get into it. But now we're going to go to the next album, and it's going to be Miss Nina Simone. Now we couldn't go too long before we got into Miss Nina, and this is Broadway blues ballads, and it's got like a lot of it's basically what it says on the tin, love. I don't have to explain it too much, do I? I was doing a proper scouser then. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's got like lots of Broadway songs and of course blues songs, and starts with "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood," which is one of her like big hits, one that you probably know. Also has, if not my favorite, one of my top 3 Nina Simone songs, "Sea Lion Woman." Listen, after this show is over, listen to "Sea Lion Woman" and go shake your jingle bells all over your house. Okay, shake them, because "Sea Lion Woman" it just hits. It's so good. What I wanted to talk about Miss Nina though is that Nina was not playing. Okay, Nina was 0% playing on the subject of interviews. Okay, Nina gave an interview. This had to be towards the end of her life, and it was a BBC interview, and the interviewer maybe thought that he was gonna get her in a gotcha, and he was like, I've heard that you went and you attacked some record executive with a knife, and she was like, "You damn right I did. It wasn't a knife, it was a gun. I got a gun and I tried to kill him." And what she said, she was like, they said, I was like, "You're gonna give me my money," and they said, "No, we're not giving you any money." And she said, "Oh yes you are." And she literally shot the guy and missed. This was in Switzerland, as she says, and then she fled back to the US. She's like, "Sorry, I didn't hit him." She was dead ass. Okay, I mean, this is a woman who, as a dark-skinned Black woman who was like classically trained in piano and just so talented, but also, you want to talk about another really complicated figure, like her family members, her children. I don't think they had a really great experience of her as a human, and that is also part of the story of her life, right? But in terms, also she was a revolutionary. There's one, I saw a clip of her where she's on stage and she's like, "Are you ready for freedom? Are you ready to die for it? Are you ready to kill for it?" And she was not playing, and again, she said, "Are you ready to kill for it?" She was not just sloganeering, because she did that shit herself. And honestly, I think we need a little bit more of that energy. I'm just gonna say, one of my favorite new permutations of an old saying, people, like, "Will you die on that hill?" People have started saying, "I will not die on this hill. I will kill you on that hill." And I think that Miss Nina Simone would have really, really appreciated that. Her album, "I Put a Spell on You," that's the next vinyl that I'm gonna buy, because that one is, I would say, the best album of hers to get. But this one is a damn good one. In addition to, it's got, Last Rose of Summer, I'm Blessed. And you know what I'm going to do? There is, on the back of this album, there is an ode, a tribute to Nina Simone, written by Langston Hughes. You want me to read it? I'll read some of it. It's actually kind of long, so I won't read the entire thing. But I'll read you some of it. The one and only Nina Simone, a tribute by Langston Hughes. She is strange. So are the plays of Brendan Behan, Jean Genet, Leroy Jones, and Bertolt Brecht. She is far out, and at the same time common. So are Raw Eggs in Worcestershire and The Connection. She is different. So is Billie Holiday, St. Francis, and John Donne. So is Mort Saul. So is Willie Mays. She is a club member, a colored girl, an Afro-American, a homie from the down home. She has hit the big town, the big towns, the LP discs, and the TV shows, and she is still from down home. She did it mostly all by herself. Her name is Nina Simone. She has a flair, but no air. She has class, but does not wear it on her shoulders. Only chips. She is unique. You either like her or you don't. If you don't, you won't. If you do, woo, you do. The entire thing, I would find it and read it. It's it's this part here. This whole thing is the whole tribute. But I mean, Langston Hughes, we should talk about one day how excellent he was as a poet. But anyway, get into it, babes. Get into it. And guess what? We're gonna give you a little bonus third album. And this one we're not gonna go in too much because this one is just one you should check out and listen to. And it is You Forgot It in People by Broken Social Scene. Now, I don't know if you've heard Broken Social Scene. It's really hard to describe them as a group or, even as a sound, but it's poppy, it's dreamy. It's like there's a bunch of people in the band. It's really lovely to listen to. There's different voices. There's femme voices. There's masked voices. There's whole bands. There's a song called Looks Just Like the Sun, where a lot of it's being directed and orchestrated live, and they left in the person who's orchestrating it, and you can hear them giving the direction of changes, and it adds so much to the song. A great song called Anthems for a 17-Year-Old Girl, which is this really dreamy, femme-voiced song. Cause Equals Time is also great. Lover's Spit is a really great ballad, a gentle ballad. It's like flowing and soaring. All these people drinking Lover's Spit sit around, clean their face with it. Lovely, really lovely song. Yeah, just a little bonus. One that I really love. I like basically this band's entire discography, but I don't know too much about them beyond their music, but their music is such that I love it, listen to it a lot, and wanted to share it with you as a little bonus for this week. So get into it, babes. Let me show you the back. Just the back has of course, the names of the four. It's a 2 LP set. It's really, it's a really great album, Nerdy Bats. Also, y'all, please do comment all throughout the show, whatever we're talking about. Feel free to comment. We'll use some of your comments, and during, when I'm actually talking to you live, I might interact with your comments and we'll put them up and do all that good stuff because you are part of this show. And anything that we discuss or anything that, we have a back and forth on becomes just part of the living record of the show, because that's what we're doing here, right? We're doing it live. But at any rate, without any further ado, let's go straight into our next segment.
And not only do I not care if you think I'm a bitch, I hugely prefer it.
All right, let it go. Ophthalmology. Herb. Do you mean herb? You can't be serious. You simply cannot. Ventriloquist. Ventriloquist. Anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism. Gotta say it fast, okay. Almond. Almond. Are you... No mames. You have got to have just a really, really bad case of rectal cranial insertion to think that this is the first time in human history that people were creative enough, everybody's so creative, that people were creative enough to not wear the clothing or do the job that they were supposed to do because of their gender. Like, just think about it for a second. Sit, boy. Good boy. Hi. Good boy. Woof. Good boy. Flat. Flat stay. Good boy. Belly. Good boy. Jump. Good boy. Reach. Good boy. Round. Good boy. Round. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. There we go.
Happy April Fools! It's the first of the month. How many transactions do you hit in a day? You wake up and you hit that gym. Cha-ching! To hit that gym? Oh, oops, running late. Gotta get some coffee on the go. Cha-ching! Wait a second. April Fools indeed. Rent? Oh, cha-ching! Ouch. How'd you get the money? Oh, sorry, running late. Gotta get lunch on the go. Phone. I've gotta transmit my data to the cops for free. Oh, running late. Sorry, gonna grab dinner on the go. Ooh, groceries. $300 at Costco. Utilities. I work for my machine. The lights go on. You see, I harvest my hearty fields of dollars. They've grown tender, my dollars. This fiscal quarter, my dollars and cents smell so sweet, deliciously good. I'm always running. Wow!
So when you see people starting to fight back, when you see marginalized people start pushing back on white fuckery, when you feel yourself deciding, you know what, I'm actually not going to be quiet this time. Go with it. Understand that it's time. It's long past time, right? And I saw a comment sort of, which was like both, which I agree with, but also was lightly pushing back against the idea that anger is generative. No, you're wrong, babe. Like, it's not either or. Because in order to build anything, we got to beat the shit out of everybody who's stopping us from being able to build it. It's not an either or, right? Because in this life, you need both the open hand and the closed fist. And we, as the underclass, as the people, especially BIPOC, especially women and femmes, we've been using the open hand too much. Well, I can't deal with that. Well, you know what? It's too much trouble. I'm so busy. I'm so tired. You know what you're going to hear more of? You know what you need to start feeling more of? I got time today. I got time today. You're going to hear from me today. In fact, you're going to hear from me about some of the people who have been talking shit. because there are people who have been literally causing trouble, making drama, right? Lying out of whole cloth and making trouble for the House of Infinity, for me personally, and trying to undermine the work that we have done and the things that we are doing, and me personally. And I'm a high road kind of girl, you know? I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get down in the mud and get sloppy. I am much too cute for all that. But you know what? I don't care how cunty my outfit is. Sometimes we're going to have to fight, right? You want my attention so bad, you're going to fucking get it. And you asked for it. Because the stuff that we have done, the work that we have done, the way that we have shown up, the things we are trying to do in this world to stop the literal rise of fascism, and for motherfuckers to be out there on some personal weird vendetta shit, lying, making claims that should have just are manifestly not even close to true, right? And white people believing them because white people believe other white people, especially ones, regardless of their gender identity, ones perceived as femme, right? Beware. Beware the white tears. But guess what? Beware the pushback. There's another situation with somebody with whom I was affiliated, who I've worked with. Come to find out, they pulled some white nonsense on not one, but two different Black femme creators. Stole their work. And guess what? They're going to hear about it, you know? And here's the thing. This is not we're going to just burn them at the stake, because we're past that. What we're looking for is justice. We're not looking for idle vengeance. But guess what? Justice looks like idle vengeance when what you're used to is compliance. And a lot of white folks are used to compliance. And yes, I'm also talking to you watching this. Because a lot of the times when Black people push back against something, the knee-jerk reaction will be, well, I didn't mean that. And like, it wasn't, you know, I'm one of the good ones. Shut up. You're going to hear this today. I got time today. Okay. And open letter, okay, to anyone who is trying to cause harm by spreading nonsense. I know that you're probably watching. And if you are, I'm done being soft about shit, because it's time to fight. And fighting the systems also means fighting those people who are supposedly on our side, who have internalized the systems and are acting as their agents, whether they realize it or not, whether they think they are being righteous or not. Okay? You're messing with my family, my chosen family, my real family, my spirit family. Beyond even messing with me, you mess with my family, you got problems. I'm a Taurus, baby. What we want to do is run around, eat some grass, plow a field, rut, chill, right? But then you motherfuckers come along stabbing us. And we'll let you stab us a good 20, 30 times. But at a certain point, you're going to get these horns. You can either do better somewhere else, the fuck away from me, okay? Or you're going to find out. The fuck around has already happened. The find out is coming. Consider this your last warning. And that is not just to the people I'm talking to, but to the vulture class in general, to the overculture in general, because we all have that energy coming, right? As above, so below. Astrology isn't necessarily causal, but it definitely reflects it. I know you all feel it, right? Because people are getting out of that, the soupy Piscean unsureness into a state where it's like, what the fuck? Right? Somebody's done this to us. And they need to get theirs. And they need to get theirs. We need to start having conversations about, you know, the whole idea of like, should you wish ill on bad people? No, you don't want to wish ill on bad people because that sullies you. It makes you spiritually dirty if you wish bad things on people who have done. No. It makes you a goofball if you pretend that you wish good things on other people. Now, all that bless your heart shit, right? It's also a little white supremacy code. It's dishonest. It's dishonest. You don't mean bless your heart. You mean fuck you. That's what you mean. Sometimes you need to just say that. And that is what's going to provide the space for us to build the world we want. Because we can't don't get me wrong, most of the time you're still going to spend building because you can't be fighting all day, every day, right? No one can do that. It's unsustainable. But we need more fight. We need more fight. We need more fury. We need more rage. Because rage energizes you. And righteous rage, not just idle rage, but righteous rage. I'm telling you, that is what has been missing. I heard the funniest story from one of the elders in my neighborhood who I just, I talk to. I occasionally, give them stuff, whatever. Kind of adopt, she calls me son. She's, whatever. I'm not correcting this woman on gender at this point. She told me a story about how a man that she was seeing took her money and lied to her and then went out on a date with somebody else. And she saw them getting into a car. And when he got home, she went at his knees with a broom pole. Y'all might think that's a little rough. Or worse, be like, that's abusive. It's so abusive. Well, what are you going to do when it's 1960 whatever and you're a black woman who no one's going to listen to? And this man knows that. And that's why he's getting away with the shit. I bet you one thing. I bet you he didn't do that shit again. I bet you he did not do that shit again. Okay? So shout out to them. Of course, I'm keeping their identity secret. But shout out to them. Because guess what? It's like the Fuji say in that song. You let a motherfucker kick you 4 times, he's gonna kick you 4 times. You let him kick you 3 times, he's gonna kick you 3 times. You let him kick you twice, he's gonna kick you twice. You let him kick you once, he's gonna kick you once. But if you break off the motherfucker's feet, ain't gonna be no more kicking. Right? Anger's a gift. But after all of that, we have gratitude. And I have immense gratitude for you all for being here for this, the 18th installment of Focused on Infinity Hour, more or less. And I am so grateful to everyone who contributes to this show to make it everything that it is. The entire House of Infinity for supporting me and being just, my extended real soul family. To, of course, my co-collaborator and person who is approximately 4 feet in that direction, the excellent Mistrix, to Square Symbols and their musical excellence. The drumming they were kicking out today, just heavy vibes, like just the pure skill. You could see the skills. Amazing. Also, Worm, the wise Worm, with their words today. Loved their piece today. I always love their animation and just just what the animation they bring. It is an integral part of the show, and I will always say that. Couldn't have a show without Worm, and also couldn't have a show without Alice Pope of Alice Pope Astrology, telling us what's up and what is going to be coming up for us in the week to come. I am so happy to have shared you some more tales from the Grendelverse. Shared with you, the dog that you saw was Fairo. He was the first dog that I had, the dog that actually got me into becoming a dog trainer and a dog professional. I after a long time finally got my own dog, and then was like, I'm going to be the best dog parent there. And I started reading books and going to the dog run 5 hours a day and training heavy with him. And that became the business that I started. And, here we are, I don't know, it's 15, 16, 17 years later. And he unfortunately passed in late 2019, but he will live on forever, and it changed my life. I have a picture of him on my wall that was a little painting that someone made of him. And if anyone ever tries to convince you that, you know, dogs are just, oh, it's just a dog. Like, the human heart makes no differentiation between human, animal. If they're in your heart, they're in your heart. You know, it's always weird to me when people are like, would you save your dog or like a stranger? Hate me if you want to. My dog every time, 10 times out of 10. That motherfucker sleeps in my bed and lives in my house. That's my family. Like, I sorry, I don't know what's not clicking to you, right? See, it's weird to me when people are like, oh, any human life is, sorry. Just, it's not happening for me. And also the earlier Tales from the Grendelverse and our new segment, LGNYC. We're going to have lots more of those as well. But we'll be back here next week at the same time with all new things, much more. I've already got some plans and schemes, and we're going to just keep making the show bigger, better, different, newer, and inviting more people from the extended world and people who I've met and really respect and trust onto the show as well to, you know, just share more of the world with you in this way. Please do support anyone that you've seen in the show. And please support the show by sharing it, by sharing the clips of it, just telling people about it, and, you know, helping us keep it going and do it even more. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you next week. Mistrix, take us out.